Coffee's brewing. Must be time for pause mode.
Hey everyone, my name is Jason from GameRaveTV, and this is Pause Mode. So with our second episode, I've figured we would do a bit more following up, just because when you move to a new location and start unpacking things, you realize you forgot to talk about things and other stuff that were happening at the time of going on. And the first thing I want to talk about for today's Pause Mode is VGA cases.
Look, I'm a shield girl. I'm doing everything.
Now, for those of you who have watched the VGA episodes of GameRaveTV, which have been my most popular, regretfully, you know that I bought this and discussed the problems of the case it had in reference to a Metal Gear bundle. And this is the Metal Gear bundle where the strategy guide fell through the casing because this guy didn't do its job. So I figured I'd take this pause mode to finally explain why the case failed. Now, as I said in the original GameRave video, the case itself is phenomenal. I mean, whatever poor bastard actually custom makes these things puts a lot of heart and soul into them. However, they are not indestructible because, as you can see here, nothing a flathead screwdriver and a hammer and about 3 little taps will shatter the case. Unfortunately, that was also the end that had the hole in it, so I can't really show you the pointless hole. But anyway, to illustrate what they had gotten right, on this packaging, there's a little lip from the, I guess you'd call it bubble thingy. And in the case, they actually took the trouble of putting in these little lips to hold it in place. So when you slide it in, when you slid it in, it would have been fine. They didn't push all the way up though. So that was fine. However, where they failed, and this is part of the whole, like, well, preserve your video game advertisements, on this case, if you look closely, there's a ravine right here. And basically, the strategy guide should have stopped at this lip right here. So this would be all empty space. Let me see if I did open this to try and see if I could salvage the guidebook, and I actually bought a brand new guide in mint condition to replace this. So, you know, I get to make it look. But this is basically what it should have looked like. But basically, when it was sitting in the case, there was nothing here to prevent gravity from ruining the thing. What should have happened is just like how they have, if you look in most VGA cases, there's usually a giant lip or a clear piece of plastic stopping the game from hitting their little stupid label. And what should have happened is they should have actually had a piece of plastic on the front of the case, basically a ledge pushing into here to make sure that that guidebook stayed in place, and it didn't. This guidebook was in perfect condition when I bought it off the seller on eBay and in shipping, and it was perfectly packed and everything. This happened, showing clearly that the VGA case didn't do its job. That's actually what happened. That's how it ruined the, that's how the oversight of that little lip pretty much damaged the strategy guide, and if I hadn't bought off that person, that would have happened to them. They would have been out there 40, 50 bucks, whatever it cost to grade it. But that said, we move on. Now, while in the scheme of things, technically this was just a small oversight, when you counter that or add to the fact that they've also graded incomplete games like the Pokemon box thing from the GameCube, and they're now grading opened games as quote-unquote variants and misprints, you can see that this is just one giant clusterfuck. Now, if you check out the links below, as I stated way before when with this first air, the original video first aired, someone else did some interesting kind of like follow the money type research. It's a long read, but it does bring into some of the more ethics and business angle of the VGA, where I was just the grunt up front bitching about the thing being ruined. You know, it's weird. This really does look a lot more professional for a background. Alright, now next up is, I want to talk about the SCART cable. I had a couple of people ask me with the SCART after seeing the Street Fighter Alpha on our GRTV, you know, could I do a better comparison just to show you and so forth. It would have been really hard to show through a camera. However, I was lucky enough and thanks to timing. I've been using an S-Video to HDMI upscaler to screen cap games for the GameRave website. I actually bought a SCART to HDMI upscaler to see if I could get better pictures and so forth. And while the results of that will actually be a different pause mode, I did want to show you guys that I did get some direct screen caps to actually show you just how more vibrant using SCART is over S-Video. So like, for example, right here, we have Street Fighter Alpha running side by side, one with the S-Video and with the SCART, and you can clearly tell just the colors pop so much more through the SCART video. And then what's weird too is in the SCART video, it's even more sharp as far as individual pixels go. Like I mentioned using Street Fighter Alpha because that's how you show off the capabilities. The SCART actually made the health bars look like a Sega Saturn transparency. Like, you could actually tell that they were cheating on the PlayStation to make a transparency with the checkerboard effect. And that blew my mind, because I'd never seen that before. And I've had Alpha since almost the first day it came out. The other example was Klonoa. Klonoa, besides being our K game, for the letter game, is probably one of my top 10 games of all time for PlayStation. And look at the difference in the blues and the greens in these two screenshots. That's just the beauty of SCART. SCART cables are super cheap to buy. I think I got mine for my PlayStation for about 13, 15 bucks, etc. And then the upscalers, your miles will vary. Like I said, the one I tried picking up for the first time, it's really weird. It's really good, but I think the upscaler chip is having a piss fight with my Elgato because anything still looks perfect, but if you start moving, there's a little bit of fuzz. And then some of the games that have a crazy resolution, like Airgites, comes up as ever so slightly fuzzy in general, which is weird because in the screen cap it looks perfect, but once it's outfed to the TV it looks weird. So, you know, your miles may vary, do your research, but like I said, I love the SCART cables. Alright, now, current events, which won't be so current in 2 weeks when you watch this video. Microsoft did their price drop on the Xbox One, dropping it $50 off every bundle they have. If you're a Call of Duty fan or an Assassin's Creed fan, Jesus Christ, now is the time to get an Xbox One. For $350 you can get the system and both Assassin's Creed games for it, or you can get the Call of Duty bundle with the better paint job and the terabyte hard drive and the game. Sony hasn't really announced any price drops or bundles and so forth for the holidays, so Microsoft doing this ahead of the game is a pretty huge thrown gauntlet. And with the Wii U even having Nintendo Land and Super Mario 3D and Smash Bros. Coming out for Christmas, both Microsoft and Nintendo have stepped up their game, no pun intended. So I'm really interested to see what Sony's going to do with the PlayStation 4. And last but not least for this pause mode, just a little bit of fun of, I guess, game industry type things. In the one video when I was discussing Fox Hunt in the F letter game, I mentioned that I had bought a review journalist package for it. And for those of you that don't know, basically they're bribes, more or less. Companies will send games wrapped in these nice little package souvenir type things for game journalists to review and maybe like get them excited about the game. I've seen games shipped with bottles of wine. I've seen games shipped in with actual replica masks and so forth. And when I found this on eBay, I had to have it because Fox Hunt is just, like I said, one of my guiltiest favorite pleasures of all time. So what this is a briefcase. Not so much like the Assassin's, or Elemental Gearbolt Assassin's case, but just plastic. But it's adorable, like an attaché case. This is going to be in the second blooper reel, I know. When you open it up, you get a whole bunch of cool things. The first thing is a manila, or I should say a plain white envelope, that has information about the game, still sealed. It's still sealed because you can just hold it up to a light and read the letter. So, ooh, what's up? Maybe I should get VGA graded. No. And then next up is probably the coolest thing in there is secret file, complete with pull string and so forth. I actually haven't opened this because I'm terrified I won't be able to get the string back together with it. But it's got some more just secret confidential stuff in there. Divider cardboard. And then, in case my copy ever gets scratched, not only is there an extra copy of Fox Hunt in the game, but there's also a copy of the soundtrack. Now, what makes this funny is that I had actually already bought a copy of the soundtrack used from a disc replay years, I mean, like at least 10 years ago. And on that version, it's got the stamp of that this was like, you know, a preview copy for whatever magazine it was. This doesn't have the stamp, so in reality, I have a variant to a soundtrack to a games. Oh, God, I hate my life. And then just a quick funny story about this guy. My old house had gotten broken into, and a whole bunch of my stuff got stolen. And what was funny is that the burglars were clearly not game collectors, because they had basically tossed aside or looked over all the important stuff and just grabbed my 360, my PS3, etc. The funny part of that story is that this guy was sitting on my dresser at the time the burglary happened, and it was face down so you couldn't see the Fox Hunt logo. Well, in the combing through all the debris and the mess and, you know, having the police fingerprint everything, I literally couldn't find this. I was like, what? Why would they steal a briefcase? And it turned out that when we had moved stuff aside, the burglars had opened up this attaché case and ripped everything out of it. I don't know if they were doing that just because it was a closed container, or if they thought this was actually full of, you know, money and credit cards and secret documents. But I just had this great vision of them going, "What is Fox Hunt? What is Fox Hunt? We must find them. We must steal them." Ha! But yeah, it was bad. Oh, all that save data I lost on that poor hard drive. But yeah, guys, that's it for this week's pause mode. Like I said, thankfully I can start recording in the game room. I can't think of anything else to say, so next week I believe we return to the letter game, and I haven't figured out the letter yet, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We'll see you guys next week. Take care, guys. Have a good one.